Welcome to the Healing with Love Summit. Step into a world where we choose to move with kindness, love, and acceptance for our neighbors on this planet, no matter their perceived differences. Choose to listen with an open heart. Choose to come from a place of learning and sharing. Welcome. I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You Healing, and I now have with me Marina Tselner. So welcome, Marina.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here.
Well, I'm very excited to talk to you. I adore you. And I think you have some stories that will be wonderful to share, or maybe not so wonderful. We'll see how it unfolds. But first of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. And if I could say, I really appreciate your words. I love all that you do, Larissa, and I'm really honored to be a part of this conversation. I'm a coach, I'm an artist, and I help creative people to open their hearts, to express themselves fully so they can heal through that expression, through that full expression. I'm a big believer, advocate for healing through art, as are you. And yeah, that's what I do. I work one-on-one with people, group classes. I'm working on retreats as well. But this is what I do. This is what introduced me to you. This is how I do your work. Yeah.
Yeah, we worked together before, and I love that. I love that. And we had chatted briefly earlier about some of the experiences you've had in your community, and maybe we'll start there. There's a lot of division, we know, in the world right now. And as a Jewish person in the United States right now, what is that like for you?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a big question and a wonderful question. Thank you for seeing me and acknowledging my experience. There are many parts of me, many sides of me. I was just hanging out with my colleagues who I've known for a long time, and it just came up there like, "Oh, you're Russian?" And they didn't even know. I was like, "How did you not know that about me?" That's like a big part of who I am. So I realized, like, I don't know, when is it a good time to be a Russian Jew? We're all over the news. I mean, technically I'm from Belarus, so that can complicate it even more. But the other day someone asked me, are you Jewish? And she's like, I couldn't help but notice you cover your hair and you dress like, are you Jewish? And I answered, very. It really is a big part of my life, from how I wake up to how I go to sleep. It's a huge part of my life. And as happy as we are, the world is still an imperfect place, or perfectly imperfect, but hurting nevertheless, and we get to fix it. So I feel lucky, privileged, blessed to be here in the United States. My parents brought me here as a baby from the former Soviet Union, where I could never live so openly in my faith as I do. I feel very lucky. At the same time, last night I was at the synagogue where not that long ago a woman was gunned down and murdered for being Jewish. And for no other reason, just an active shooter walked into the synagogue and did this horrible thing. So, it's on my mind. I'm reminded of it regularly, that not everybody embraces or welcomes us. So as much as I like to steer clear of controversial subjects, I think it's really important that we address the delicate situation, which is being different in any way. And the truth is, we all are different in some way. We're all unique, and we get to embrace each other. And another reason I'm so happy that you do this, because it's not like, if you're Jewish, you're just Jewish. I mean, you can be all the things. All the social justice movements can be represented in one person. I'm also a woman, which that's a whole thing into itself. So what's it like? It's wonderful, and it's not easy, but that's the human experience. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really an important part that you mentioned, is that we are not just one thing. I've said this repeatedly. We get labeled or we get seen as one thing, but we are not. We are so many different things. And some of them are favored and some of them aren't. And we can be discriminated against because of who we love, what religion we have, what belief system, what color our skin is, what school we go to. Like, literally, people will find ways to discriminate against other people, and some of them are angrier than others, some of them are more dangerous than others. The reason that I wanted to do this, though, was because we are much more than just that one thing that we're being judged on. And that intersectionality of who we are, ultimately 99 point something percent of individuals is the same. We have the same DNA across the globe. And it's that point something that makes us unique. And we all want to be unique, but then we judge people for that uniqueness. What are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, let me see where to begin. I mean, I I celebrate uniqueness. I celebrate our difference, and it took many years to come to this point. And we specialize in healing, healing through art specifically, healing nevertheless. And everything I've learned about healing has been all about embracing all of who you are, right? Spiritually, physically, emotionally, intellectually, like all of who you are. This is how I learned about shadow work, right? The light and the shadow, the good and the bad, transforming it, elevating it, putting it to use, to good use. So our uniqueness, this is it's our superpower. It's our proof that we are meant to be here. No one is here by accident. And by here, I mean, in this world, we all have a part to play, and we all get to see that in each other. So yeah, celebrating our uniqueness and embracing everything that we have in common. That's everything. That's why we're here, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important that we share stories
Mm.
because of that, right? Because we all ultimately want the same things. And I say this over and over again, right? We want those core things. We want to be loved. We want to be safe. All of those core things, we all want that. It doesn't matter who you are. And then in that sense of community, belonging, and part of the safety piece is, do I feel safe going to my own synagogue? Do I feel safe walking down the street as a woman at night, or anytime really? Do I feel safe walking with my partner hand in hand? Do I feel safe in my own neighborhood, depending on the color of my skin? And when we don't feel safe in being who we are, then we try things to hide that. And some you can hide more than others, right? You can't hide the color of your skin. There's different things that you cannot hide. And you shouldn't have to. I'm not saying you should have to, but that's where we often go, is into hiding. And we're not doing anyone a service by hiding. We need to be out there expressing our true authentic self, so that other people can see, oh, it's not that bad. They're not that scary monster that I've been told they are. And that can be really difficult. How do you show up in the world that you feel like you're being your authentic self, but also keep yourself safe?
I mean, ultimately, it's not all in our control. That's a big part of how I show up is just acknowledging, for me, this is important, but acknowledging and in my faith that we all have a source, and and we take it up with the source. Like if there's ultimate fear that we can't release, we can pray on it. I mean, whatever that means to you. Again, like take what works for you. Just to our audience, take what works for you, and if it doesn't, just never mind. But really, like for me, it's a lot about prayer. And then I do things to, I make sure I watch my surroundings. I mean, it's silly, but it's just what you learn how to do as a woman. And then like I pass a little better than, like, my husband and my boys who like wear kippas, and my husband is like there are signs. So and I was kind of hiding in that way that I pass. Just and then I felt a responsibility to sort of wait a second, like own up and sort of present a little bit more openly, just to empower other people and to empower myself. I don't know, something about hiding like reduces my strength. I just feel this personally. So if I want to be strong and really feel safe, it's important that I'm not hiding. That if I am, if I mean, I will, depending on where I'm traveling, I will ask my boys to wear a hat. I will try to tone it down. I don't feel invincible. But yeah, again, it's because I can pass. There's some things we can't hide. But to your point, we shouldn't have to. So how do I show up? I mean, with joy, with pride. I think that's the antidote, because if we're full of fear always, we just can't show up at all. So I don't know. I don't have a one answer, but if I can show up laughing instead of crying, then that's what I try to do. And not because I was born that way, not because it's easier for me, but because it was really an intentional choice that I am making to, to, rather than fret, which I do, but I'm able much faster through the work that I do, and through my community support, the leaders, the friends that I have, that I know, who support me, who aren't necessarily like me, but who support me. I'm able to make that choice to, to smile, to laugh, to love. Oh my gosh, I went to a talk about anti-Semitism just recently. A speaker came to, I live in San Diego, a speaker came here, and he's hilarious. He's like a world-class comedian. So I'm like, how are you gonna make this funny? Like, but he found a way. So Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson, who's hilarious. And of course it was a serious conversation, but what was interesting, just a few seats over me was a Holocaust survivor. She was in her 90s. And when he was talking about, look, guys, like, yes, there's a lot to be upset about, but you must release the hate. This woman who lost her whole family, who's frail, she's like not that young, right? Like almost 100 years old. I can't remember. It was very close to 100 years old. She jumped out of her seat when he was like, release the hate. She jumped out of her seat and was like, let it go. And I was like, whoa, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So if there's, that was, how do you show up like with that passion? Let it go. Easier said than done, but that's a little bit of the background that I show up in.
Yeah. And I do think it's important. And I know not everyone can do that, right? But I use my voice wherever I can. I provide a platform for other people wherever I can. And knowing the risk that goes with that. And a lot of people, I've had many comments are like, what risk is that? Well, yes, I also can pass, but as a gay woman, a very outspoken gay woman, neurodivergent, I have a number of things that annoy people for various reasons. I still, even just being a woman, right, in our society, being a woman, less valued. those things definitely target you. And so when you add your voice and use it to be outspoken, you're just putting a target on you, basically. Does that stop me? No. But I mean, I've had some fairly violent experiences in the past that my outspokenness has gotten me into. However, I still keep doing it because for me, it's that important. I was told to hide most of my childhood. My mother was also gay, and we had to hide. It was not legal. I live in Canada, not the US, so we do have different rules. We still have the same hate, but we do have different laws. And we hid our family, couldn't have friends over, couldn't do anything because of that, right? And so that shaped who I was. Now, for me, I'm very outspoken about so many things. So I took it as I am never going to hide again. I am not hiding. I'm not going to hide who I am. I'm not going to pretend. And so that's the direction I took. My brother, not so much. I mean, he's a dancer, so in his community, he can be out, but he'd prefer other people didn't know because it's just easier, safer, not, So we all have to make our own decision is what I'm trying to say. However, the danger is real, whether you believe it or not. The danger is real, but not only the danger, the sheer hate that comes with, and I said I didn't want to go into like hate shaming. I want to stay in the place of love, but I do want to explain to people that when you constantly have comments said to you, or you have that sort of worry in the back of your mind that something might happen, it weighs on you. And so being able to move from a place of love, having that worry, can be maybe a little more difficult, but I still choose it. I still choose to move from that place of love because it's that important to me that we shift the energy. And I can only do my part. I can't do anybody else's. I can only do my part. When you think about coming from a place of love, what does that mean from you?
Ooh, I love this question because, and it's just a little behind the scenes of how I operate. But when I'm a bookworm and I really get kind of geek it out. Okay, get all my books together and go into this little research phase. So obviously I'm not the ultimate authority on anything, but I am passionate about this subject. So it's like, oh, okay, so how do we learn about love? What do we learn about love? And for me, as a Jewish artist, again, this is just behind the scenes how I operate. I live my life as best as I can, inspired, a Torah-based life, which is the Torah is also known as the 5 books of Moses. And anyway, it's divided. We were talking about this. It's divided into sections or portions for each week. Sometimes there are 2 per week, but whatever. And anyways, it's sort of like a guiding star or a blueprint. And we believe in our faith that whatever we need can be found there. And so I looked into the time when we first started this conversation, and that was the week that the portion was commanding the Jewish people to love God. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? So is it, what do you mean command a feeling, right? And those are the conversations that people have. I don't know if you can hear the car back there, sorry. Ooh, loud motorcycle. Okay, cool. Wear your helmets. So what we learned from this is like, how do you command a feeling? Like, we can't control our feelings. We can control our actions. We can't control our feelings. So what does this mean? This is a clue. What we gather from this is that love is built up through actions. And sorry, between my soapbox and the motorcycle, I may have lost your original question. Like, give me a moment. Sorry. Say again, Larissa.
Showing up and moving from a place of love with everything that's
From a
happening.
place of love. So yes, absolutely. At that, I take a stand to move from a place of love, to live from a place of love. But what does that mean? Like, I can say it, but I can't force the feelings if they're not there. So what I learned from that portion was that you can take steps, you can do actions that will build up that love, that will open your heart further, open your mind further, and through these acts of kindness, that's how you build up the love. So like you say, there's only so much we can do, and yet it's a lot right there. So I was like, okay, we're just preaching to the choir. What's the point of preaching to the choir? Oh my gosh, it is so powerful to preach to the choir, because one, you don't know who's hiding out in your choir. So just like, let it be known, this is how I feel, in case you didn't get the memo. And if you're not on board, then, have a nice day. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. As my professor used to say, still says, probably. And the other way, the other benefit to preaching to the choir is that we empower each other to stand up. So it's not a lost cause. It helps. Okay, you know what I'm remembering right now, when I moved to the school here, to the community here, I was volunteering at an event, and there was a group of girls and boys, like fifth graders, and this one boy started making fun of another boy. He wasn't there. So they're making fun, one person is making fun of a boy who isn't there. And so I feel like I should say something as the adult in the room, and I'm preparing to be like, hey guys. and before I could even say anything, this little girl beat me, and she stood up and she said, hey, be nice. And I was like, huh, yeah, all right. Instantly diffused the boy who was like bigger, taller, like, we might think she could have been afraid or something, or like uncomfortable, but it was so great, and it diffused him, and it quieted him, and it made me feel good about this space where I was. But that's the benefit of preaching to the choir. So is that we can empower each other to, even though we think like, oh, what can we do? I'm just by myself. Saying empowering each other is so big. Yes, it's dangerous, but like, life is dangerous no matter what. So you want to face your dangers just randomly, God forbid, with like accidents that happen outside, or you want to, take a stand and have it mean something. Life is dangerous either way, I think. So this way we get to support those we want to, and live the way we feel we're meant to. I don't know if I answered your question there, but
You did. I love it. I love it. And I just, I think it's so important, like you said, that we have these questions, that we have these conversations, that we are preaching to the choir. Like, truthfully, I feel like I probably am with this summit, right? Because I don't know that the people who need to hear it will hear it. However, I feel like the more we can empower each other, the more that can be done, right? And sometimes it's just like saying, I don't want to listen to that, or I don't agree with you, or maybe it's just walking away and not, right? And just choosing who you spend time with. Maybe it is using your voice, or maybe it is taking a stand and things, but whatever it is for you to feel okay in your own self with what's happening around you, and how you move in that. Yeah, really important. I want to thank you so much. Is there any final thoughts you have? I know you were jotting things down before we started. Is there any final thoughts you have that you'd like to share?
Oh, just a lot of gratitude for you, for what you're doing, and for our community, and for those who are just like wandering in here and wondering like, what's this about? Like, if this can empower you to, I'm not saying go change the world, by tomorrow at noon. If you can say, hey, be nice when you hear maybe maybe someone in your circle being less than nice,
Be like that little girl.
yeah, be like that little girl, and you'll feel better for it. I'm sure of it. Um, yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you, Larissa. It's my pleasure, my honor, and all the best. All the best.
Thank you for watching this interview. This interview was part of our Healing with Love Summit, which includes healing practices with each interview. If you're interested in learning more or purchasing the full summit with interviews and healing exercises, click the link below. Remember that it is a choice how we move through this world. Choose love. Love heals.